History and hostility await the Gators as they travel to play Texas A&M. With this week's 3 and Out, I'm Talalo Masri. Florida entered the fourth quarter against Bowling Green up by 3 points, down by a yard in total offense, and short on comfortable fans. The Gators prevailed, albeit with a shaky performance that was unsettling to the Florida faithful in the swamp. The 12th man, as a result, will be extra confident on Saturday. The first key to this week's game is how the Gators handle the Aggies' home crowd, which was 10th in average attendance last season, 1 spot behind Florida. Jeff Driscoll, locked in a battle with Jacoby Brissett for the starting quarterback job, won't be looking over his shoulder this week. Instead, College Station and Gator Nation will have their eyes on the new face of Florida football. The passing game struggled to get it going in the opener. Outside of receiver Frankie Hammond's 50-yard catch and run for a touchdown in the fourth quarter, the Gators only managed 95 passing yards last week. Florida will need to do a better job of proving it can at least make plays through the air to keep Texas A&M's defense from keying in on the run, much like Bowling Green was able to do last week, which resulted in multiple failures in short yardage situations. Still, Driscoll is excited to lead the Gator offense as it ventures to play its new cross-division opponent.
Obviously, to be the quarterback at a university like this is a big achievement, but I'm just excited to, really be able to take command of the offense and really tone in on what I got to do and, be ready to go to win in Texas A&M. Coach told me immediately when he told me that they're going to go with me at Texas A&M that he just wants me to go out there and play and not worry about looking over my shoulder. So he wants me to play loose and calm, so that's what I'm going to do.
A second key to Saturday's game will be how the Gator defense handles the Aggies' air raid spread offense. The record-breaking offense will be making its debut at Texas A&M under new offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury, who followed head coach Kevin Sumlin to A&M from Houston, where the Cougars led the NCAA in points, yards, and just about every offensive category. However, the offense will be directed by Johnny Manziel, a redshirt freshman who will become the first freshman QB to start an Aggies season opener since 1944. Therefore, it's unlikely that the philosophy of the typical air raid offense, which is passing at 80% of the time like a Mark Mangino-type spread at Kansas with Todd Reesing or a Leach-type spread at Texas Tech with Graham Harrell, is unlikely. There's a better chance that A&M spread is going to be more akin to a Rich Rod-type spread at West Virginia with Pat White or that of Chip Kelly at Oregon with Dennis Dixon. But in the end, no one can predict how it will operate. However, the Gator defense can't let the Aggies' passing game get into a rhythm. Florida corners sometimes gave up to 10 yards of cushion to Bowling Green receivers last week, and the Gators can't surrender that space to explosive senior wideouts Ryan Swope and Uzoma Nwachukwu, who can both turn short catches into gains that move the chains. Bowling Green was able to put together long drives much the same way, but Texas A&M is equipped to do even more damage with the dink and dunk. Coach Will Muschamp says the Gators have to be prepared for yet another snap-and-throw offense.
The ball's out quick. They're going to get the ball in space and let guys try to make plays. And you got to tackle well. You got to stop their run, and part of their run is their screen game. They say it's a pass, but that's part of what their run game is their bubbles and their quick screens and the different ways they get the ball to their playmakers. So the ball's out quick, so you can't get frustrated in the game like I think we did a little bit early in the Bowling Green game with pressure because you'll have a hard time getting there when the ball's out that quickly.
The third key to the game will be penalties. Florida's 14 penalties last week were 2 more than any school in the nation. This has been an ongoing issue for UF, which was tied for the 4th most penalized team in the nation last season with 7.8 infractions per game. They averaged the exact same amount in 2010, Urban Meyer's last season at Florida. The Gators have to be particularly careful this week as every penalty will only feed the already hungry 12th man with even more fuel. It would be one thing if all the whistles being blown were because of mostly 1 or 2 certain types of penalties, but the Gators proved to be quite versatile in that department last week. 3 false starts, 3 delay of games, 2 personal fouls, 2 offside, 1 holding, 1 roughing the passer, 1 illegal block, and 1 substitution infraction. All the different penalties and the fact that the yellow flags keep coming raise another flag on the team's discipline. The coaching staff has said it's done all it can do to fix the penalty problem, and starting this past Monday at practice, Florida linebacker John Bostic says it's now up to the guys on the field to play smarter football.
It kind of comes down to us now. If we say we want to be a team, and be at a certain place we want to be. It's going to, step back on the leaders, of the offense, the leaders of the defense to really, say, hey, we got to stop this. And basically, that's going to be one of our main focuses today. Not just, each person, doing that. We got to hold each and every person accountable, out there. Say, hey, we can't jump off sides. We don't need the pass interferences. We don't need the blocking in the backs, special teams.
Florida and Texas A&M have only met 2 other times in history, with the 2 schools splitting those games. The Gators beat the Aggies 42-6 in Gainesville in their first ever meeting in 1962 behind quarterback Tommy Shannon and running back Bob Hoover. The second meeting was in the 1977 Sun Bowl in El Paso, Texas. A&M, ranked 10th in the country at the time, won 37-13 over Florida, which was coached by Doug Dickey at the time. UF starting QB Jimmy Fisher suffered a dislocated finger on the first offensive possession, forcing backup Bill Kynes to play under center. With this week's 3 and Out, I'm Talal Masri.